Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Comicave Iron Man 3 Blue Steel Armor for Iron Man, which is not my figure. A buddy of mine let me borrow it so I could review it because he knows how much I like blue and silver color schemes, and yes, this figure is gorgeous. Both objectively and subjectively, the paint job is really nice. We'll get into that in a second, but boy oh boy, does this one suit my needs. As far as an Iron Man suit goes, this is great. Now don't get me wrong, I like the classic Iron Man. That is and always will be the best Iron Man. But this blue and silver is perfect for me, so I'm pretty happy to show it to you. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Now before we get into measuring the figure and doing the proper review, I want to show you the packaging because this is somewhat unique packaging. I guess it's a special version, like it says Omni class. I don't know if that's like a special thing for this line of figures. I don't collect these, but it's in this really cool packaging. Reminds me of the old iPhone cases or iPod cases, kind of. Really fancy cardboard. Looks nice. It has some embossing and some silver and stuff. But what's really cool is it has this tab to open it because it's magnetic. And then you open it and it's a nice little like display. You have all your accessories over here, kind of a little instruction thingy here, and then you have your Iron Man figure there. And if you look closely, you can see me in the black part. So it's a really cool package, and we're just going to set that aside. I just want to show you guys because it stands out a little bit from your standard packaging. So now let's look at this gorgeous blue and silver. I will say though, I wish the silver was a little bit more like a platinum, just for personal taste. Anyway, so if you're going to ever build me an Iron Man suit, let's make it platinum. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's look at it. About 6 3/8 inches tall, right around there, which makes it just about 16 centimeters, slightly taller. It's basically gonna be the same thing as your average SH Figure Arts Iron Man in terms of size. It'll definitely fit in, and even most of the articulation, it's almost the same figure. Lots of die cast on this guy though, lots of nice detail. And the kicker here is he lights up, and I'll show you all this stuff as we go. So I do want to talk about the paint. It's really nice. There is a lot of kind of like a pearly, not quite pearly, but metallic blue, and of course silver, but then it's also panel lined. So you can see in most of the lighter silver spots, lighter compared to the blue, there is panel lining. It's not everywhere, but it does look really nice where it does exist. You can see very clearly on the thighs here, lots of panel lining throughout the ribs. Very, very sharp looking figure. Fantastic paint job. However, it's not perfect in every place. And most of the superficial stuff is perfect, or at least really close. But if you look like underneath the shoulder pad here, which is pretty obvious, I mean, it's fairly visible. It's definitely, you can see it's just got a little bit of spray of the blue on top of some silver, which is not what it's supposed to be. So that is a little disappointing. Now, if you have imposed, you probably won't notice it. This side's not quite as bad, but it is worth mentioning that it does have a few issues. Okay, now before we go into any more of the figure, let's talk accessories. We have a few different hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 repulsor blast hands that are painted, that have the repulsors painted, 2 that have holes in them for the repulsor accessories, 2 neutral ones that are painted, and then 2 hands with the blades that pop out, which look really cool. They're permanently out though for the figure. And then we have the 4 different repulsor blasts. We have the 2 large ones for the feet, and then 2 smaller ones for the hands. These things are awesome. They're sculpted so nicely, nice sharp edges. It looks really, really good. And then we have the really nice orange to yellow shading. I don't know how I feel about the orange to yellow on a blue and silver figure. I think maybe the more whiter blue repulsor blast would have been cool, but either way, it's fine. That's just a personal thing, so they're really well done. A couple of bonus features about the figure. These 2 little panels back here pop out. If I can get them to pop out. You know, half the time I'm playing with this thing or looking at it, they pop out on their own. And now when I need to show you, they don't want to come out. Come on. So there's one. The other one does it too. So that you can get the idea. I'm not going to spend my time trying to get that with my short fingernails. So it's kind of cool that those pop out. And then the other thing about this guy, I told you it lights up, is this back piece comes off, and then you have a battery compartment and a switch. So we're going to switch it on and see how well it lights up with the harsh lighting. So you can kind of tell that this is lit up. Let me see if I can flip off the lights while I'm doing the review. Normally I cut it up, but we're going to try it. Okay, that's good enough. You get the idea. It lights up really nicely. It's very bright for the chest. I do wish it was a little bit more frosted. It actually looks like it is on camera, but it's not. You can see the LED in there. which is both kind of good and kind of bad, depends what you like. But then here's the other thing, the eyes don't light up all that well. Let's see if I can, there you go. See how they're kind of dim? It's still good, but it's not anywhere near as bright as the chest. So it's just not, it's not quite there, but it's pretty cool. And anytime an Iron Man suit lights up, that's bonus points in my book. So that's pretty nice. Let's talk about the articulation, because unfortunately that's where this guy really falters. As you can see, the sculpt is great, paints are great, it does light up, has accessories, but articulation is no bueno. So I can't quite tell what's going on in the top of the neck here, because it doesn't really want to go, and I can't mess with it too much. Like I told you, it's not mine, and these things are expensive. It should just be a ball peg, because the head does move around a little bit on top there, so you can look it up and down a little bit. Tiniest bit of leaning, and then the tiniest bit of rotation. It just doesn't want to go. And then the neck has a hinge, it seems like. So you can't really make him look to the side to do a repulsor blast. So you can just, I guess it's not a hinge, it's a ball peg. You can lean the neck a little bit and turn it a little bit, but it just doesn't really want to give you that posability. So not being able to move the head is definitely a bummer. For the shoulder pads, these guys are on hinges, but they hinge in a weird way. That's not really that ideal, but it might work. It depends how you're going to pose it, and these guys have a little bit of a hinge on them too. So they shouldn't really get in the way too much. You can bring the arms out only about that far as they are, which isn't too bad. You can see the shoulder pads are okay. Still just, I guess that did move appropriately, so that's good. If you need more range though, be careful, and it doesn't feel like it's going to go, but you can. Oh god, I hate doing this. It feels like it's going to break every time. It doesn't want to do it now. Of course, as soon as I get it on camera, there it goes. It pops out just a little bit. Man, it takes a lot of force, and if you're not careful, you are going to break something, but it does give you a little bit of extra range. Just a tiny bit though, so I don't know. It's almost not even worth trying to do it, but it does allow you to move the arm forward a little bit more, or just make it pop out. Apparently that's a thing that will happen if you bring it forward. So you can see it's a ball peg that connects to the torso. Pop that back in, hopefully. There we go. And so then it's a ball hinge for the shoulder itself, but it doesn't give you the best range, so that's that. We're not going to mess with the shoulder anymore. I can't risk breaking this because I don't want to pay for it. We do have a bicep swivel on either side, but it is incredibly stiff. I can barely get them to move. This one won't go. I had this one spinning a little bit earlier. Yeah, you can see that. Very, very stiff. I'm not sure if it's a paint issue or what, but again, be very careful as you pose this guy. Double jointed elbow, almost identical to figure arts. It's like basically the same thing. So it's not the best looking elbow in the world, but it does work, so that's okay. And then for the wrists, you can see it's a, I'll pop it off. You have is it a hinge? It looks like a hinge. It's not a hinge. Oh, it's just a big ball peg. Okay. I thought there was a hinge in there, but there's not. So just a big ball peg, which it does afford you pretty good range, but it does also stick out like it's a big ball peg. So you kind of have to decide if you like that or not. For me, it's not my favorite, but I do like the range. So what are you going to do? We have a ball peg for the upper torso, the diaphragm area, so you can lean him forward just a little bit. You can see that's all the way back right now, which is basically not, and then that's all the way forward. So very little range for the upper torso, very little, and you can rotate him around on it a fair bit, not a ton. Lean side to side. It actually leans side to side better than front to back, so that's pretty good. And then you have a ball peg for the lower torso, not the best range. Now, interesting thing about this guy, his torso can separate, and it looks like it's supposed to do that along this seam, the one that goes above this silver piece right here. I can't get that to separate though. However, when I pull on it, it does separate down here a little bit. It lifts up at the pelvis, and that does give you much better range. So maybe they both work, maybe they don't. I don't know, it's unclear in the instructions what it means. The hips are basically identical to figure arts. You have the hinged ball peg that lets the hip drop down. Then of course you have the ball peg socket for the hip itself, and the thigh that rotates around all of that. This piece is connected to the outer piece, so it'll rotate with the rest of the leg. It looks really good when it's up. It looks very, very good. When it's down and you have to pose it, you do get the range, so that's good. And it does create some gapping, which is pretty much standard. Not much you can do about that, but bringing the leg all the way forward is definitely nice. All the way out to the side, pretty far. That is not too bad, so I like that. You know what? I have to mention this because I just thought of it, and it almost looks like a tiny Hot Toys figure. Maybe the articulation's not as good, or maybe it is for some of them. Maybe the lighting isn't as good, but as far as the paint job goes, this thing is gorgeous. It just looks so nice. And the sculpt, it is really, really nice looking. Anyway, back to the review. We do have a double jointed knee, which basically the same thing as Figure Arts again. Not a great looking knee, but it does function, so I guess that's okay. And then for the ankles, we have little flaps here that will move for the ankles to make sure they have enough room. So the front one lifts up and then the back one also does. And then the ankle, you know what? I didn't even look yet. The ankle, I think it's just a ball peg. That's what it feels like. So it looks like it's just a ball peg. So you can bring the foot forward a little bit, back a little bit. You get a little bit of an ankle rocker, not very much, just enough. And then you have a toe hinge, which isn't too bad. It is kind of far back in the foot, but it does work a little bit. So ultimately, this thing is aesthetically pleasing beyond any other Iron Man figure, at least for me because it's blue and silver, but objectively, it is a very nice looking Iron Man figure. Very, very nice. So if you're all about paint and sculpt, you might want to pick it up. If you're all about posability, maybe not. Maybe this one's a pass. Decent array of accessories though, so that's a bonus too. You're going to have to decide if it's worth it for the price point. I don't know what the actual price point is, so I can't really say. But I'm not collecting this line because it is expensive enough that I don't want to. So that should give you some indication. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, and all kinds of other fun stuff. So make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.